Here's more wrestling news for April 16th, 2022. And your headlines for today include AEW Star pleads with fans to give debuting wrestler a chance, Tony Khan is distancing himself from this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, former WWE Star shares heartbreaking news over his health, former WWE Cruiserweight Champion tries out for new role on latest SmackDown, AEW Star was told he is average at best by WWE, Jim Cornette lashes out at AEW Star's Freak Show Garbage Deathmatch style, what will happen at tonight's AEW Battle of the Belts 2, top Ring of Honor star signs contract with All Elite Wrestling, and more. We're starting off with AEW Dynamite, where Satnam Singh made his debut in impactful fashion, attacking Ring of Honor World Television Champion Samoa Joe to close out the show. So far, the reaction to Singh has been mixed at best, with many fans and several unnamed stars of AEW not sold on the former NBA signee turned pro wrestler. We don't know who exactly in AEW isn't on board, but in an interview with Busted Open Radio, QT Marshall pleaded with fans to give him a chance. I read some of the stuff that people were saying about him. Listen, he's brand new. You gotta give him a chance. I think the best way to put someone out there is to put them out there with guys with a lot of experience. There are few wrestlers in AEW more experienced than Samoa Joe, who defeated the also experienced Minoru Suzuki to win the title. It remains to be seen how Singh will fare, and if fans will give him the chance that Marshall has requested. But with Singh's debut part of AEW's attempts to branch out in India, expect to see much more of the colossal wrestler. Fans may or may not be willing to give Satnam Singh a chance after this week's clunky debut, and Tony Khan himself is distancing himself from what happened. Appearing on Busted Open Radio himself, Khan said that he wishes things went differently and said that the lights off, lights on style of his debut, which is typically reserved for the shocking debuts of established wrestlers, wasn't his call. It wasn't my idea to turn the lights out. The person who brought up turning the lights off has over 30 years of experience in pro wrestling. When they brought it up to me, I was only looking at the pros and should have thought about the cons. I agree with the fans completely that Singh's debut was bad. AEW has seemingly booked themselves into a corner, and this week's show implies that Satnam Singh will challenge for the Ring of Honor TV title. And while Khan is trying to distance himself from what happened on Dynamite, it's easier said than done. Over to SmackDown, as Drew Gulak has proven himself to be skilled in the ring, but now the former WWE Cruiserweight Champion is looking for a much different role in the company's programming. On this week's SmackDown, Michael Cole announced Gulak as someone who is auditioning to be a member of the SmackDown announce team, and Gulak's first assignment was a backstage interview segment with Madcap Moss. Later in the night, Gulak had an in-ring interview with SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, which resulted in him taking a figure eight in the center of the ring and tapping out to the move. We'll have to see if Gulak is successful in his audition for his new role, or if this is just part of a storyline and he's still fully a wrestler. But whatever the case may be, the former Cruiserweight Champion had the spotlight on last night's SmackDown. We've got some concerning news to report now regarding former WWE star Virgil, who shared some heartbreaking news yesterday via social media. On Twitter, the former $1 Million Champion said that he hasn't been feeling well since WrestleMania weekend, and when he saw a doctor over pains in his head, arm, and chest, he learned that he's dealing with some massive health issues. The doctor told Virgil that he had unknowingly suffered 2 large strokes, which he didn't even realize until he started losing feeling and function in one of his arms, which he said is now basically not able to do anything. As if this weren't bad enough, Virgil was also told that he is now in an early stage of dementia and said that he's nervous and scared about his future, all the while still needing to make a living. This is an incredibly difficult time for Virgil, who has had some hard times in the past, and we're sending our best to the former wrestler in the face of these many health issues he's currently facing. Now, before coming to AEW, Brian Cage honed his craft in promotions such as Impact Wrestling and Lucha Underground, but one place he hasn't worked on TV is for WWE. Though he was signed to a developmental contract in 2008 under the name Chris Logan and was set to have an on-screen feud with the Hurricane, that never happened, and Cage was cut in 2009. This week, the AEW Star revealed more about his work with WWE and said he was invited back to appear in Tough Enough before that offer was rather harshly taken back. Cage explained that not only did WWE take the Tough Enough offer back, but they did so via text with the cruel message, "You're average at best and we are no longer interested." Saying he was heated, Cage has since gone on to make a name for himself in other companies, and while his role in AEW has been under scrutiny, at least Tony Khan isn't calling him average at best. AEW is also home to Jon Moxley, who is allowed to be much more violent than he was in WWE, but not everyone is a fan of his style of wrestling. Last week, Moxley had a solid match with Wheeler Yuta on Rampage, but during the drive-thru podcast, Jim Cornette lashed out against the former WWE and AEW World Champion. It's just this freak show garbage death match. We see them every week. The fans are cheering an uber-heelish massacre from this supposed babyface on this fucking guy that doesn't deserve it, and well, the story is he must bleed to get into the Blackpool combat. For fuck's sake. Jim Cornette may not be a fan of Moxley's bloody, ultra-violent style, but it's worked so far for the former Dean Ambrose, so don't expect his style to change anytime soon. More from AEW as the company's Battle of the Belts special will air tonight, but we already know about one title change. This is your official spoiler warning, so if you want to go in spoiler-free, skip the next 30 seconds of this video. During tonight's special, TNT champion Scorpio Sky will face Sammy Guevara in the show's opener, and the Spanish God will walk away the new champion. Guevara was heavily booed throughout his appearance during the show, and it was said that the crowd was pissed off about the title change. Getting the win with a low blow, AEW is at least leaning into a Guevara heel turn, but with the fan backlash to this match, it'll be interesting to see how Battle of the Belts 2 is cut together for the broadcast. Now, Vice's Dark Side of the Ring has given fans an unprecedented look at the less savory parts of professional wrestling, with the death of Owen Hart, Chris Benoit's horrific acts, and the plane ride from hell being just some of the topics discussed. Throughout the show's history, Jim Ross has provided insight into these controversial topics and others, but it appears things have gotten too hot for the Oklahoma Sooner. Speaking on the Grilling JR podcast, Ross said that he may no longer be appearing on Dark Side of the Ring and questioned some of the editorial choices from the show's production. It's mixed. I have some problems with some Dark Side editing. I thought I was misrepresented a time or two in the edit. But I mean, I admire those guys' entrepreneurial spirit, and I think it's a good purpose, but I think sometimes they bite into the apple of the dirt. They narrowcast a little bit too much for me, but I'm still going to watch their shows. I'm not sure I'll be on any more of them simply because I had such unfortunate negative afterthoughts of it, but you know, you never know. Those guys are good guys and they mean well, but I think the edit was a little bit callous and not well thought out, quite frankly. So I hope they continue to do those shows, and if they do, I'll continue to watch and we'll see. They should get better at what they do. There's no news on if any new episodes of Dark Side of the Ring have been greenlit, but it has been rumored that the show will not get another season. But even if it does, don't expect JR to make an appearance. And we're ending with Ring of Honor World Champion Jonathan Gresham, who has reportedly signed with AEW. After weeks of speculation, it was reported from Fightful that Gresham has signed an AEW contract, but one that will also see him perform in Ring of Honor. Gresham will make his AEW TV debut tonight at Battle of the Belts, where he'll defend his title against Dalton Castle, and after unifying the two ROH World titles at Supercard of Honor 15, he has no plans on dropping the title tonight. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.